Hello, in this video, we're going to take a simple look at using polymorphism in your Java programs. The code used in this example is part of the zipped code examples from the chapter located in the materials folder. So the first class we're going to take a look at actually made its first appearance in chapter 9. This class is called Commission Employee, and if you haven't looked at it yet, basically this class keeps some data about employees. So for example, if we work our way down from the top, this class definition has fields or instance variables of first name, last name, social security number, their gross sales, and their commission rate. So all of this data is very important to an employee that we're tracking that gets paid based on their commission. So we're going to see those fields be populated by the constructor, which comes next. Remember, the constructor has the same name as the class, it's public, and up here we see a parameter list that receives an initial value for all of those instance variables. We do have a few business rules here ensuring with if statements that our gross sales is a positive value right here. Else it will throw an exception, which is an error that happens within your running program. And then here we're checking if the commission rate is either less than 0 or greater than 1, being an invalid rate for commission. So again, just doing a little bit of checking on valid values in our constructor. The gets and sets that are part of this class are pretty straightforward. You could take a look at them, but again, just either returning a value with the gets, the accessor methods, or the mutator methods, the sets are being used to set each of the instance variables respectively. And for example, set commission rate here, as we said, we're doing a little extra to ensure that we're storing a correct commission rate. So we do see a few business rules in there. There is another method that this particular class maintains, which is earnings. Earnings calculates total earnings by taking the commission rate times the gross sales. So it does not retain that data in an instance variable because it's a calculated amount. So here in the earnings method, we can calculate based on the commission rate and the gross sales. And then finally, we've got a toString method down here that essentially gets the value for each one of the variables and puts them in a formatted string so that we can return that to an application that maybe wants to print it out. So this class, Commission Employee, is kind of where we're started from, because we're going to take a look at another class called Base Plus Commission Employee, which is based off of Commission Employee. So last week we took a look at inheritance, and remember, inheritance establishes a relationship between classes. So if we're looking at two classes, we can have one class, such as Commission Employee, be the starting point. We call that the parent class, also called a base class or a superclass. And we can create another class that extends that class. So here we see the keyword extends Commission Employee. And that means that base plus Commission Employee will inherit all of the instance variables, all of the get sets, and all the methods that were part of Commission Employee, because we really wanted a new class to represent the type of employee that would get paid on commission, but also in addition to that would get a base salary. So if this class basically intends to do everything that Commission Employee did, but yet just in addition add a base salary to it, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can just extend Commission Employee and then have an instance variable called base salary that we maintain. So when we have our constructor here, it's no surprise that at the end, just as always, we're reading in a base salary and assigning it to that field. But notice up here, very, very important. This super method call right there is calling the constructor of commission employee and passing it all the values that that constructor we saw minutes ago over in the commission employee code needs to initialize that object. So we have a set and we have a get for that base salary, not surprising there. The earnings method, we have a method with the name earnings, just like we did in the parent class commission employee. But here we're overriding it and providing our own definition that says basically the employee should earn what the commission employee calculated. Here we're getting that with the super dot earnings, but we're adding to it the base salary that we're obtaining in this class. So we're adding in the base in addition to their commission earnings. And then finally the toString, we kind of use the same technique. Super.toString is going to give us back that nicely formatted string that we saw moments ago in commission employee. So super.toString will call toString on the commission employee code, and then it will append to it the word base salary, and then we'll get the base salary. That's what the string format, what this is going to do here is it's going to take this formatted string, the first argument here. We've got a lot of format specifiers, %s, and so forth here. Each one of those represents a placeholder, and the arguments that follow the formatted string are what should go into each one of those placeholders based on their position. So this first %s here would get the value base salaried, and so forth. They go by position. So those are the two classes. Commission employee is our parent or superclass, also called a base class. And then we have base plus commission employee, which is our subclass, also called child class. So where does polymorphism come into play here? To back up a second, polymorphism is a tool that we can use when we are utilizing inheritance. So this is the exact scenario where we can demonstrate and show the value of using polymorphism. As you'll see in the text, it enables us to deal in generalities and lets execution time environment handle the specifics. What do we mean by that? Well, a base plus commission employee is a specialized version of a commission employee. We saw that it extends commission employee, so it has all those goodies of that particular class with a little bit more. So in our polymorphism test code, which is our driver class that I'll switch to over here in a moment, we'll see that we can refer to employees as commission employees in our code. But the specifics of what object type that is will be handled at runtime. So that might not make a lot of sense till we see the code itself. So let's just go ahead and switch over to polymorphism test, okay? So polymorphism test is our driver class. It has a main method, so this is an actual application that can be executed. And this is figure 10.1 in our chapter. And it starts out very simple. It creates an object of the base class type, commission employee. So you can see here that these two lines are basically instantiating commission employee. We're creating an object of type commission employee. First name Sue, last name Jones, here's our social security number and so forth. So we pass in arguments that will be passed into this particular constructor for commission employee, and it's used to populate all of those instance variables for that object. And then we would like to test out our second class. Remember, this is base plus commission employee. It is our subclass, and we want to instantiate, create a new object of that type. So here we do the same. Notice, however, there is one extra argument in the list, this 300. That is because, if you recall, let's look at base plus commission employee over here. This particular constructor took all the same parameters, that's these items in between the parentheses, but we had one extra one here, double base salary, because we knew that this particular class type is going to be storing a base salary. So that's what that extra value is that we are passing in there of 300. And then just to verify that everything worked correctly, we're going to go ahead and print out the details for each of those two objects, commission employee and base plus commission employee. So we're going to invoke toString to do that. These three lines here are going to print out the details on the first object of type commission employee, and these 3 or 4 lines here are going to print out the object base plus commission employee details. So this isn't really anything new from last week. This is really just, reiterating some of the same concepts. You can have a class such as this, commission employee. You can create a class that inherits it. Where polymorphism comes into play, and we really just have a very simple example of it here, is the next couple lines that wrap up our main method. So let's take a look at what the last couple lines are doing here. So we start out by creating or declaring an object called commission employee 2. Notice the type is commission employee, okay? So that's our base class type. So we say, okay, we're creating a type of commission employee. We want to call it commission employee 2 is equal to base plus commission employee. We'll stop right there. That should sound familiar. That is our object we created just moments earlier up here, which is an instance of the subclass base plus commission employee. So you might take a look at this and say, well, now that's a type mismatch. This is of type commission employee, and you've just assigned it a reference to base plus commission employee. A couple of things about that. Number one, you can do this. You can assign a variable, a object that's already been created, base plus commission employee. But the other thing is, it is okay to assign it an object that is of the subclass type. And the reason why that's okay is because all objects of type base plus commission employee are a commission employee type because they extend from it. They're like a specific type of, okay? So we are allowed to do this. And the interesting part is, even though commission employee 2 is typed as data type commission employee, down here where we proceed to print out details about this object, and we invoke toString, it will find the toString method on base plus commission employee and execute that one. Recall, both classes had a method called toString, but it will execute this toString method for the type, the very specific type that that object is.